The all-seeing eye of Stonewall roves across the land, seeking whom it may devour. A few years ago, I contacted Stonewall asking them a question about their Bigger to the Year award and objecting to it, and they reported me to my employer, basically trying to get me fired unsuccessfully. I spoke to a lawyer who dealt with that sort of thing at the time. They said, oh, that's typical of Stonewall. They're forever doing that. Stonewall are not nice people. They're a hardline, aggressive, intolerant campaigning group. Now, with the Scottish Family Party, our policy would be to trim their funding from the government by somewhere in the region of 100%. But we're not scared to speak out against Stonewall, and there's this video. We're going to tell Stonewall that they're wrong about something. Now, they're not used to that. They're used to every government department, every school, every college, every charity, every business bowing before them and saying, thank you very much for your wisdom, but we're here to tell you that you're wrong about co-parenting.
An attractive woman meets a handsome man. 2 years later, a beautiful baby boy, the epitome of a traditional family.
Think again. This is a modern relationship.
We met online on a co-parenting website.
Why co-parenting and not another way of having a child?
At 40, I found myself single and realized that the dream to be a dad was still there for me. Regardless of being single or partnered, as a gay man, the route to having a child was always going to be something of an adventure.
When I was 35 years old, I separated from a relationship, and I have a daughter from that marriage. And I've always known that I wanted 2 kids.
So you get the idea there about co-parenting. Now, people also use the term co-parenting to refer, for example, to divorced people bringing up their children together or separated. That's not what we're talking about in this video. What we're talking about here is people who deliberately plan to bring a child into the world to be brought up between 2 different households. So, for example, it might be 2 single people deciding to get together purely for the purpose of parenting a child. Or it might be one person who's in a sexual relationship and another person who's in a different sexual relationship deciding to get together to produce a child, which then will be brought up between the 2 households. Now, Stonewall's Guide for Gay Dads recommends this as one of the means that gay men can become parents, and we're going to have a look at their advice now. Co-parenting is where 2 people agree to conceive a child and raise a child together, even though they're not in a relationship. Each person may have their own partner, so it's possible that a child has more than 2 parents or carers. In the UK, a child can only have 2 legal parents, even if more adults are involved in their upbringing. Many gay men, either as individuals or in a couple, choose to enter co-parenting arrangements with single female friends or lesbian couples. Entering co-parent arrangements is entirely legal. You may not necessarily be a legal parent to the child, however. That depends on the relationship status of the child you conceive and how you conceive the child. Right, who should I co-parent with? Co-parenting is only advisable with people you know and trust. You don't say. Right, how to conceive. Children born to co-parents can be conceived either through penetrative sex using artificial insemination at home or artificial insemination or IVF at a clinic. How you conceive can impact on your rights, and whether you're a legal parent to the child will depend on the circumstances. For example, if you have sex with a woman, you're automatically the legal father of any child born as a result, even if the birth mother is in a marriage or civil partnership. However, if you donate sperm either at home or through a fertility clinic, the legal position is more complicated. You're telling me. Let's see what comes next. Well, they recommend you draw up a co-parenting agreement covering this, so it's a legal document covering this sort of thing. Where will the child's primary residence be? How much time will each parent spend with the child? Who will be the legal parents? Who will pay for what? How will you be sure your child receives consistent parenting and discipline in these 2 different homes? What if one of the co-parents or co-parenting couples wants to move abroad? So a legal document as the foundation of the parenting relationship. That doesn't sound too good to me. Anyway, this issue of who are the parents, the legal matters, incredibly complicated. I won't even begin to explain the whole thing. But this is just a sample of the sort of thinking we get. If the birth mother's partner is involved in the co-parenting arrangement and intends to act as a parent, it's not usually possible for her partner to opt out of being a parent Therefore, a birth mother cannot choose to name the biological father on the birth certificate instead. And there's loads of similar rules. They've got a helpful flowchart to help you to work out who the parents of these children are going to be. Right, what are we on to next? We're on to some stories, some heartwarming tales of co-parenting from gay men. We wanted to share childcare duties 50-50, but since we didn't want to live together, that just proved to be unrealistic and impractical. I still look after my daughter 2 to 3 days a week. My little girl's mum now has a partner who lives with them, so things have continued to change in our family. Change is a constant occurrence once you become a dad. You can lose a bit of your sense of being master of your own destiny. Your kid starts to shape a lot of your choices about work, socializing, or whether your boyfriend is right or not for your family. Change is a constant occurrence, so this kid has got a mum who's now got a new partner, and dad, who lives in a different house, has also got a new partner, and they're saying this is perfectly normal, this is the way it's designed, this is perfectly healthy, a great way to bring up children, no reservation at all. Right, here's another one. It's not been without its challenges. Different expectations inevitably arise between different people. It happens between all couples, but when there are 3 parents, the dynamics can be more complicated, you're telling me. But the written agreement we spent a year drawing up, covering everything from the names of the children to contact and money, has been vital. I would recommend anyone who goes down our route to draw up an agreement, a legal contract, as a way of dealing with these issues that in a normal couple would be dealt with just in the normal course of a relationship. And just to finish, I see my kids twice a week and regularly have weekends with them to give their mums a bit of a rest. I don't know how 2-parent families cope. Obviously having 3 parents, 4 parents, however many, is going to be superior. Well, all the evidence is that married biological parents optimize outcomes for children, but they're not bothered about that. It's about the adults, what they want, and it thinks it's easier having 3 parents.
Something that I've always wanted to be is a mum. I mean, I realised obviously I was gay when I was about 13, and probably about 3 years ago, maybe 4, I only started thinking of, you know, coming up with the idea that maybe I could have a child with a, you know, with a couple.
And I know that the baby's going to be born into a beautiful family with 3 people that love it, who will love it intensely.
We're basically rewriting how a family unit works. I think we've got all the pets we can muster up, and the child is the next step for us.
Fiona knew Darren, who she met at work. He was single and also wanted to have a baby.
So co-parenting, why not? Number 1 is bringing children into effectively a split home. All the evidence we've got at the moment is that that is not helpful for the development of children and their well-being. Now they might say, oh, this is a different situation. The only way to find out effectively is to experiment on children, to try it and see how it goes. And I don't think any children have consented to be experimented on in that way. Now, children in these arrangements, they're not going to feel fully part of either household. That's not good for their emotional security, especially if there are other kids who are fully part of either of the households, which is perfectly possible. Now, I don't need research. I don't need to wait for peer-reviewed studies on that. I know it's just common sense. That's not going to be helpful for the emotional development of children. I think the co-parenting relationships are going to tend to be unstable. I think sexual relationships, the sex connects people and makes for more stable relationships, heterosexual sex in any case. And then parenting can be very challenging. It can cause all sorts of strains and tensions. And without that additional factor to bind people together, the relationships are going to be less stable. I think 2 friends who know each other really well but don't live together, they're not a close enough team to parent. They don't understand each other enough. They don't know each other well enough. They haven't got the intuition to be able to work together in the ideal parenting team. I also think mothers and fathers are not parent A and parent B. They're complementary. They bring different qualities to the task of parenting. Now, if you get the masculine qualities tend to, in any case, in one house, tend to get the feminine approach in another house, that's confusing for kids. That's not ideal. Ideally, they should have both qualities present in the house at all times, so they don't learn to behave differently in different houses, but they try and strike the balance relating to the two styles of parenting in general, the present within the one home. And the last thing is, it introduces children to a form of family that's left out love. Okay, mum and dad are not together because they love each other, they're together because they both wanted a kid and each other enabled them to do it. It's a matter of pure utility. So it's setting the example of loveless family, which is not a positive thing.
Well, it's just like a dating website, except you're able to find people who are ready to be parents.
There's no sex, there's no romance, it's just, how does that work? With a lawyer?
There can be romance, there can be sex, you can use a lawyer, but I'm currently a co-parent. I actually have a beautiful 21-month-old daughter with a friend, and I want to have a second child. He doesn't, so I'm back saying, hey, a co-parent is a great option to doing it alone.
And you have a boyfriend too?
I do have a boyfriend.
And and the boyfriend is not the father of your 21-month-old?
Correct.
So you have your co-parent, your boyfriend, and your boyfriend doesn't want to have kids?
He already has a son.
So you're looking to find another co-parent then to have another child. So
possibly.
So you can see what's happening here. It's also going to be heterosexual couples who will start looking at co-parenting, or heterosexual single people as well. You can imagine the sort of scenario. Two people might be chatting at work. The bloke might say, oh, I'd quite fancy having another kid, but the wife's not so keen. And then a woman might say, yeah, I'd quite fancy having another kid, but my husband's not so keen. And someone else might say, well, it's obvious what to do. Why don't you two have a kid together and co-parent between you? And is that seriously going to strengthen either of those families and the relationships within them? Is that going to be good for the kid produced? I don't think so. You know, why only two families involved? How long before someone says, well, three families could be even better to share the load? So deliberate co-parenting is just a bad idea. It started in the LGBT world, but it's now spread to infect the wider family culture in our society. So, of course, people will say, oh, you're homophobic. No, that's not the point here. Deliberate co-parenting is just a bad idea, regardless of the sexuality of the people involved. So what this is all about is adults getting what they want. It's not about kids getting what they need. If you look at a man and woman coming together, it's the way it's supposed to work. Now, you may think that that design is the product of evolution. You may think it's divinely ordained, but whatever. Everything we know is that it's the thing that works best, and we mess with it at our peril. It just seems so perfect. A man and a woman in a committed, exclusive, public, permanent, loving relationship engage in sexual relations as well. That cements the relationship and also produces the offspring, produces the children, and then also ensures that within that household there are male and female role models. It's the perfect plan. Now, there are those in our society who want to destroy the assumption that mum, dad and the kids is the best form or the natural form of family. They think it's heteronormative, patriarchal, oppressive, or whatever. And they want to celebrate any and every deviation from it.
Bei einer gemeinsamen Freundin waren wir zu einer Hochzeit eingeladen, da waren wir, glaube ich, ein halbes Jahr zusammen und da zeigte mir dann die Cindy den Basti und meinte, sie könnte sich vorstellen, dass das mal der Vater ihrer Kinder wird, und dann habe ich mir angeguckt und dachte, Mensch, ja, nett. Ist ja ein sehr attraktiver Mann und klar guckt man auch, wo man seine Gene irgendwie mit paaren könnte.
We're a bit behind the curve in Britain with this, I think. In other countries, this is more established, but of course the mainstream media will be trying to promote and normalise co-parenting arrangements in this country too. And I'm amazed the BBC and Channel 4 haven't already been producing documentaries on this topic, sympathetic documentaries. Now, just before I made this video, I actually had a quick look online just to check they hadn't already made documentaries. But BBC and Channel 4 are both in the process of contacting people to be in documentaries that will inevitably show a positive, sympathetic view of co-parenting. You'll never guess, children produced in these arrangements, they can be really cute. The co-parenting people, they can be nice people. And that will be all it takes to win over a large portion of the population who will completely fail to critically engage with the deeper issues, and the mainstream media won't encourage them to do that at all. Of course, once these types of arrangements become a bit more common, sociologists will start doing their work. They'll get a few statistics, they'll slice them and dice them, select them very carefully, and before you know it, they'll come out with the results. I'll tell you what they'll say already. The results will be, there's no difference, apart from because of homophobia, or poverty, or whatever else. It's inevitable. That's definitely what they say what they will say because it suits their agenda. Then once that's become established in our culture, it will be seen as very offensive to criticise this sort of arrangement. You will have to accept it. It will be utterly beyond criticism. And if you want to teach in a school or be a doctor or a social worker or who knows what else, then woe betide you if you say you don't think this is actually the best way to bring kids into the world. You think natural family is best. Now, if you really want your taxes used to encourage co-parenting through organisations like Stonewall, also through the NHS, who link through to Stonewall's advice, if that's what you want your taxes spending on, you need to vote SNP, you could vote Lib Dem, you could vote Labour, you could vote Green, but above all, you could vote for the Conservative Party. Support the Conservative Party if this is your vision of the future, the promotion of co-parenting arrangements. If you think, no, that's not my vision for the future, that's not what I want my taxes spending on, and this should be a politically live topic, this should be a controversy because there's another side of the story that needs hearing, if that's what you think, you need to be supporting the Scottish Family Party. Do subscribe to us on YouTube, have a look at our Facebook page. Also, you can go to our website, you could join us even there, and also we have meetings around the country from time to time. Have a look at the details there. It'd be great to see you. Thanks for watching.